now, our feature presentation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Focus Testing, a podcast about movies where, we make a movie. My name is Tristan Miller, and joining me is Hunter Wulff. How are you, Hunter?
Hello. I'm great.
You're great.
I'm well.
You're wonderful.
Everybody does the WH thing, and I was just trying to figure out how to add an H to something that doesn't conventionally have an H, but now I know why it doesn't normally have an H by it.
True.
The G's.
What are you talking about? Your name is Hunter Wulff. Remember that classic Family Guy bit?
I do, and it's probably because every male person I knew in high school would quote it multiple times a week, I think, and then some of those people didn't grow out of that phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to interact with them.
I'll confess a dark secret to you, and that is that I have been watching Family Guy to fall asleep to, because it just lulls me into that. Because it reminds me of, it's a comfort thing. And then from that, unfortunately, I've started watching the Cleveland Show. And can I tell you? Not great.
No, yeah.
But
seems like it wouldn't be.
But the thing is, David Lynch is a recurring character on it. He plays the bartender. And that...
See now.
Exactly.
And it's Lynch doing the voice?
Yeah, well, he's just talking as himself, but he's playing quote unquote Gus. And I can't remember. He is given some of the best lines. What's crazy is they know how to write for David, but nobody else. It
is incredible. There's this incredible thing that happens on some shows that are, I'll use one of our favorite terms, absolute piles of dog shit that then when somebody we admire debases themselves enough to be a part of it, it's the coolest thing they've ever done. And I don't know what that bell curve is, but it is really perplexing because I'm a victim to it too.
Yeah. Well, what's your example? I want to know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have a set example for you. I mean, David Lynch being in the Cleveland Show is a really good one.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something that happens in I guess we're gonna just dunk on the McFarlane cinematic universe here. But I'm sure there's a joke in 1,000 Ways to Die in the West. Or A Million Ways to Die in the West, whatever that movie is. A Million Ways to Die in the West. I think there's a cameo in that movie that I just thought was so incredibly cool. And
is it Ewan McGregor?
It's Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. I was just laughing because he was laughing. Well. Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yes. It is so, and it's I was gonna say it's not the Jamie Foxx thing. There's because he shows up as Django in that, right?
He does. Forgot about that.
Right. Which I was like, no, of course. Or there's a Back to the Future joke too, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
This is what I'll say about this movie. I thought it was good. I've only seen it once.
Okay.
Thought it was entertaining. Yeah.
Listen.
Tristan, thought it was entertaining.
Conversation before
good show.
I think sometimes you just got to accept that some people love things that you're not going to love, and then you just got to let it go.
For sure.
You have to make the hard part of this, though, is that I have to make you believe that I'm not silently judging you after I dunk that hard on it. And the harder I try to convince you, the more you don't believe me.
Exactly.
This is always how this goes.
There's also another McFarlane one, and that's the fact that Patrick Stewart isn't a recurring character on American Dad. That makes you kind of go, huh? What is it about Seth?
Yeah. But Seth also has Roger, and Roger is an incredible character.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I like wine.
Roy Rogers McFeely. It's such a good bit.
It's like the kind of person
a queer icon.
Yeah, a queer icon and somebody. Am I allowed to say that as a straight man?
Yeah, I
Declare
think
somebody.
so.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
Taika
a
did
queer
it for
icon.
himself. I think you're allowed.
I guess that's fair. That's fair. There is just something about like and Roger being an old queen who's ready to like name drop people that I only know because I watch too much Nick at Night. That is like genuinely appealing to me.
He's a phenomenal character.
It works every time.
It does.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here to talk about movies and not just Seth MacFarlane. You're the first returning guest, and we did a live stream version of it. We made we made a great show. We made a great movie that was like a road trip movie with Larry the Cable Guy and the Cable Guy from Jim Carrey's The Cable Guy, called The Cable Guys. But the format was a little different because it was live streamed, and you can still listen to it. It's on the feed. So, but there are like interview questions that have kind of changed. So I want to make sure we get into that. Which is first is like, would you remember the first movie you saw in the cinema?
This is a really good question. So, I listened to the show, Tristan.
Well,
and I didn't know if you knew that. Which I've never told you that. But I do listen to the show. I'm a fan. And I've been trying to think about this for days, right? Days.
All right.
A combined effort of days because we've had to like try and record this a few times. But
yeah, I'm in a different hemisphere, so it's a little tricky.
Yeah, it's hard. So I think the problem with my memory is I remember very specific things from a very early age. I can tell you the layout of my house when I was like a very young toddler.
Okay.
But I cannot, and movies, which are maybe the most important medium to me in the world, I cannot remember the first movie I saw in theaters. So my core memories of movies are later, but I do think that I remember seeing No, that's not true. That would have come out too early. Now that I think about it, I really thought that was the answer. I was going to say Men in Black, but I think Men in Black is 95, 96.
Yeah.
I would have been too young. There's no way I remember.
I don't know. Like I vividly remember seeing the special edition re-release of Star Wars, and I would have been 5.
So I think honestly, my first memory is very vague. My first memory of seeing a movie is very vague, and it would have been Toy Story 2. I think is the earliest one that I can recall. I would have been about 6 years old. We saw it on like a military base, and it was weeks after it came out, like way after it came out. And I was really upset that we were seeing it so late after, but we were like traveling to see my dad, and my dad had picked us up. We were hopping some kind of military flight somewhere. I don't remember, but I remember being on the base and watching it.
Okay.
And for the longest time in my memory, we saw it at when I was young, I really believed that we saw it at Guantanamo Bay. Which just cannot be true. We landed in Guantanamo Bay.
Randy Newman's music.
We landed in Guantanamo Bay to transfer to Puerto Rico because my dad was stationed in Puerto Rico for a while. But for the longest time in my brain, we took a pit stop in Guantanamo Bay, hopped off the plane to see Toy Story 2.
That's so funny.
and then I spent the summer in Puerto Rico. I don't know which military base I saw it on, but I remember distinctively seeing it, and it being like the greatest fucking thing I'd ever seen.
That's so good.
Yeah. So
that's so good. That's a very good watching Toy Story 2 in Guantanamo Bay.
We still don't know the truth. Maybe I did see it at Guantanamo Bay.
Maybe you did. Who can say?
Maybe
what is the truth?
Who can say?
Who can say?
Miles away from the I almost said most precious government criminals, but that's not what I mean. Whatever the words are. Words are made up. They don't mean anything.
Sorry, I'm now just thinking of like Osama bin Laden, but a Precious Moments figurine.
Yeah. No. He's like knelt down with his hands and
yeah. My God.
Delicate prayer.
And then like there's a Saddam Hussein one that's like tipped over. Like the statue.
Like the statue. Anyway.
Oh boy. So I got some trivia questions for you, as you know, because you do listen to the podcast. Obviously, what is movie?
What is movie?
What is movie? Baby, don't hurt me.
Movie is image. Movie is sound. Movie is joy. Movie is I thought maybe I'd have something more interesting to say here. Just, you know, it's popcorn. Movie is popcorn.
Movie is popcorn. Movie is an excuse to eat popcorn.
Sure. At its worst.
At its worst, yeah.
That's what I did.
And speaking of, what's the best cinema snack?
Okay, look. Okay, I'm very opinionated about this. Every time I go to the movies, I sit down with buttered popcorn, and if I'm at like a Megaplex, I'm getting a vanilla Coke from the Coke freestyle machine. That's what I'm doing. But
to be a Coke freestyle machine, I long for it. Have you ever thought about it?
Being one?
Yeah, you have so many choices.
Quite the career pivot, but honestly, yeah, I long to be that person.
You spitting out soda into cups. Is this good for you? Is this good?
Is this good? Which one do you want? Oh God, I hate ginger ale. No. Yeah. But I will say, you know what's really good is like sprinkling M&Ms in your popcorn. I think is just so much joy. I love a little chocolate surprise in the popcorn. It's so makes me feel like a kid.
Or a kid can be a kid.
We're in the popcorn where a kid
in
can
the
be
popcorn.
A kid.
Instead of a ball pit, a popcorn pit would fucking rule.
Popcorn ball pit would rule. It would it would be nastier than a ball pit somehow. But
well, you don't put butter in it. Just salt.
Or you do.
I think you should heat the bottom and have fresh popcorn popping, but not so much. There has to be like a layer between somehow, because otherwise you burn your little hiney.
Look, people are into it. Is 2023. People are into new and exciting things.
Speaking of, what movie makes you horniest?
I knew this for me. I knew this question was coming. I think there are so many answers to this question.
True. I'm sorry. I'm giggling at myself because the way I did deliver it was like Steve Harvey in Family Feud.
Which question makes you horniest?
Yes. Show me Akira.
Oh no. You know what I think it is? I do think, and it's nothing with like a sex scene or nudity. It's never those that get me. It is like operatic longing and corsets. And so I think it's the OG Pirates of the Caribbean for me.
Very horny movie.
There is just something. I mean, I have a giant crush on Keira Knightley.
I thought you were going to say Jeffrey Rush.
Well, but I also think there is something about, look, my favorite ship dynamic is like pristine.
Sorry, I thought you were going to talk about like the galleon of the Black Pearl.
No.
Because there are ships in the movie, but there's also like shit
in the movie, but there's also relation. I'm dipping my toes back into the tumbler pool for a moment. My favorite
ball pit, if you will,
are always like, yes, into the ball pit. It's always like pristine meets dusty or grimy. You know what I mean?
Sure. Lady and the Tramp, yeah.
It is Lady in the Tramp. That's a more eloquent way to put it, sure. But I'm gonna keep going Pristine and Dusty.
Sure.
And in my current relationship, I'm Dusty Boy. She's
okay.
Elegant lady.
Dusty Hunty.
Very Lady in the Tramp. Dusty Hunty, sure. And so there's something about that dynamic that like really just like gets, and everybody in the movie's hot, and
It's true.
It's hard, and people are wet, not figuratively. Something about the ocean is helping, and sweat is helping, and swords are cool. I don't know.
Swords are cool.
They're really cool and really hot and whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's I think a very reasonable response. I think The Mummy and the Pirates of the Caribbean films are in the same level of like, those are like inexplicably horny when specifically you're a teenager and you're like, wow, this action adventure is making me just wild.
That's exactly it. It's like that, and like there's something about like so alternate answer was A Knight's Tale.
Also, yes. Also a very horny movie.
And there's like so little I guess there's more intimacy in that than there is in Pirates, but like it just like you wouldn't read that as a sexy movie, but if you watch it, you're like, no, it's so just like Shannon Sossaman super pouty, and Heath Ledger is Heath Ledger, whatever.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
It. Everybody agrees with me here, Tristan, including you.
I would say most people on the internet, I would say, do agree with you. And luckily, that's where this is going to be broadcast. So,
That's true. It's true.
I recently found out that podcast is iPod and broadcast. It's a portmanteau. And I was like, that's crazy.
I don't know how I feel about not knowing that for this
I know,
long,
right?
But it makes sense. Yeah.
It absolutely.
Nobody even has an iPod anymore.
I have an iPod.
Do you have an iPod?
I do. I have a Classic and I have a Nano. Not with me. I didn't take them to New Zealand, but I have them back home. It. Yeah, I like to. Sometimes I like to use them when I don't want to have my phone on me.
Yeah, I would kill to have my iPod, my little clickety clackety wheel iPod Nano. I would love to have it.
I used to have two of them. I don't know what happened to the second one. I will say this as well, though. It's like there's now no way to upload your music to it. Unless, weirdly, you have like a Windows machine that still has iTunes.
Yeah.
So I'd have to like buy a Chromebook, log into my iTunes
This
account.
Is my iPod Chromebook.
Yeah. Exactly. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I had another question for you. What was it? I mean, we were talking briefly about David Lynch, who's my pick for this next question, but who is the best director turned actor?
Lynch is such a good answer because the spoiler alert, like him showing up at the Fabelmans was just so flooring. Best director turned actor. I don't know who the best is outside of like. Well, I'll tell you, I'm catching up on Barry, and Guillermo del Toro shows up in the last season of Barry.
Yes.
And I don't know how much he's going to be in it, but he just had a scene, and he is like a very plain spoken actor. Like I wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't say like he's gonna end up winning an Oscar, but his delivery on the writing in that show is really impeccable. It just works for him. So I want to see him show up and stuff more.
I think so too. He's really like, I think he's also, I know Herzog is in an episode of Parks and Rec, but I feel like he's in some other comedy too, and he's a good performer.
I think Herzog would probably be like the best answer for me for that, just because when he shows up in something, he genuinely has like incredible gravitas.
That was the thing, going back to like the McFarlane thing, is like what we're talking about there is they're elevating the material.
It's that.
It's like, you know, you see even like a like there's that movie 65 with Adam Driver, which was surprisingly good because he's like, he knows what he's doing. Like it's schlock, but Adam knows what he's doing. So it's like, oh no, this is actually a good movie.
You just need somebody with pedigree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Guillermo del Toro's put Guillermo del Toro in a Star Wars. Like
that would be so
really
good.
Incredible as just like some kind of like gang boss or like, you know, like pirate head or something. Like he'd be really great.
I would love him to be like in like the High Republic era, being like the Chancellor. Having hit that.
Yes. Beautiful. I just and what a delightful man. Like just a completely delightful man. Sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes you just need a good energy to be a good actor. People don't talk about that enough. I mean, it's what a lot of people coast on, and then they don't know what to do with themselves after they get sick of it. But
yeah,
I don't want to get into naming names because I don't want to piss people off. But rhymes with Shmimmy Dewart. Anyhow, as always, why is Austin Powers sexy? I have to find a new closing one because I've kind of heard all the responses.
No, can I be honest?
Yeah.
I think it's the teeth.
The teeth.
I think it's the teeth. I have this running theory that hot people need to have some kind of eccentricity or imperfection to be considered to kind of reach upper echelon hot. The example I always use is if you look at Ryan Gosling's face, one of his eyes is way lower than the other one.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah.
It's the perfect example. Ryan Gosling would not be hot, I think, to his degree of hot if his eyes matched, but they don't. And that's what makes his face interesting. So I do think to some degree it's the teeth. It's the way he uses the teeth. It's that he's willing to, I'm sure he knows they're bad and he's not ashamed of them. Many of your guests use the term confidence. I think that's part of it. And maybe all of it. But I think for me, there is something sexy about the teeth.
I think so too. Yeah. I think a small quote unquote imperfection brings the whole thing together, really.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, this person's so hot, but they're also human. Yeah, I think that's a good answer. All right. Are you ready for the random word?
Let's go.
The bird is the word. Speaking of Family Guy, no. No, dorm. We have dorm. DORM. Dorm.
Okay.
I think I have an idea. I will always come up with an idea, but I will always offer it to the guest first if you have a strong impulse.
No, so the first thing I went to was like, what if barbarian but dorm? And I just don't think that's different enough.
Can I tell you? I'm going to take that and I'm going to add it to my idea, which is that these teens are stuck in a dorm, first year of college, and the power goes out. And since the power goes out, since all the doors are electronic, they can't get out of the dorm.
Wait. This is good. So like, I think if they can't get out of the dorm, I think what we've sort of stumbled upon with that, Tristan, is like a new age Samuel Beckett unfolding.
I think that would be really good. I think there's a couple of elements here that I like. I like that. I like the idea of it being kind of a horror film.
Yeah.
As well. But also I feel like what would be kind of fun would be you kind of think it's like a Big Chill situation where like they're kind of stuck and they're gonna get, you know, closer together or whatever. I haven't seen The Big Chill. Whatever happens there. Kevin Kline's there. I know that much.
Sure.
But they're all kind of like stuck together and like it's a drama. And then halfway through you realize, oh no, they're getting picked off one by one. And then at the end, it's just the two of them and then it turns into a Sam Beckett thing? Or is this way too complicated?
That is way too complicated, but it is something that I would watch, and I'd be like, there's this thing that happens with movies sometimes, like Jurassic World 2 is like a disaster movie, and then in the back end it just decides that it wants to be Frankenstein. And like when movies do that thing, I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad, I'm like, wait, hold on, you had a take, that's cool. So if the front half of your movie is a horror film that then becomes an existential horror film that simply exists in the subconsciouses of the two people, that's good. But okay, Dorm. No, we can come up with something better than this. If we want to run with a horror, I wonder if the doors lock, right? There's like something that keeps that. There's like maybe a Saw scenario, but how do we differentiate it?
Sure. I mean, okay, this is what I'll say. I almost like the Sam Beckett thing more because of the fact that the first instinct is, I think, horror film, right?
Horror film. Yes.
Horror. The reason I say horror is go put in horror, whose line is it anyway, Colin Mockery, and then you'll see the clip as to why I say horror.
Yeah, horror. Yeah.
Horror. Anyhow.
And I like when people say horror. A horror film. Or a
horror film. It's an absolute horror film. Friggin' sweet, Lois. So stupid. But I would say that's the first instinct. So maybe going to I like the Sam Beckett thing, an existential thing. We haven't really explored that.
I don't think we've prodded that enough. So I think it's two guys. Okay, hold on. We're gonna switch it back. We're gonna do another little throwback thing here, because last time we went sort of back to the Blue Collar Comedy Tour and Ben Stiller's directorial efforts in the 90s that didn't do very well.
Oh,
but
boy.
What if we take it back to like stoner comedy era, right?
Like Pineapple Express,
but it's two guys. Everybody has left the dorms for like Christmas. It's a Christmas movie. Nobody's in the dorms. Everybody in their building is gone. Who are we casting? But we're casting stars of today. We're not going back there.
Okay,
who are we casting?
I would like to follow this up with, I think it should be, if it's dorms and it's Christmas, it should be an English film. And everyone should be like, is this just Harry Potter?
Right. Well, it's kind of like we clearly adapted this from we were on Wattpad and we found
I don't even know what that is.
Wattpad is a fan fiction website.
Okay.
And
someone's showing something about themselves in this conversation.
It feels like, well, no. I'm actually I only know it because like I am fan fiction culture adjacent.
Okay.
But clearly reviews are gonna be from the Tumblr kids. Did somebody stole my fan fiction? Like that's what the conceit of the film starts as, right?
Okay.
It was Harry Potter fan fiction, Twilight style, or 50 Shades of Grey style. This was Twilight fan fiction that then became something else entirely. So it's an English film in a dormitory.
Casting stars of today.
I mean, I feel like Tom Holland is taking a break from acting. We can't get him.
Yeah,
we can't get him shit. One of the roles was written for him. Who are younger English actors at this point?
Florence Pugh. I almost think, I mean, and she's not English, she's Irish, but having Flo and Saoirse Ronan reunite would be fun.
This is a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have Florence and Saoirse, and they both look young enough that they could. That's the crazy thing about both of them is they could either be
they're either 40 or 12. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really nuts. So it's Saoirse and Florence Pugh. And they are in the dorms and everybody's gone. Their families that are abroad or something, they just don't have any reason to go home. And it's not depressing. We're not doing a midsummer thing. It needs to be happier than that, because then
that's not hard.
Stealing it's not. And then they get too high.
Right. Stoner comedy. They get too high. I like that. And then I think also would be cool about that is like there's a moment, like a little moment of a horror element where they like, we're not alone. And then they realize that like obviously they're not alone. Someone has to be there to, run the building. And the superintendent, I think, should be played by Daniel Radcliffe as like a nice little hey.
Daniel Radcliffe, he also he like doesn't ever leave, and it becomes like a fun little trio adventure. But I think stoner comedy, they discover a secret. If we're gonna go barbarian, it doesn't have to go full barbarian, but I think to sort of travel down a new little branching tunnel, if you'll forgive the connected imagery, they discover some secret about the school that they're convinced is real while they're high, and then when they wake up the next day, it's not there. They can't find it.
And what was true and what wasn't. Yeah.
And what was true and what wasn't.
I like that.
We're playing in a thriller comedy thing. I think we can really transcend genres here. How are we feeling about this?
I like that a lot. I think that's good. I think it also has to have like an element at the end where you're like, it's kind of like, it could be true. Like, it can't be like, oh, it was all a dream, because that's always like narratively unsatisfying, I feel like.
Completely unsatisfying.
But I think there's got to be an element of like, was it real? Was it not? And then, for sure.
They have to be somewhere kind of slightly boring. Like, I think they're maybe at a college in like Colorado or Montana.
We had said it previously in England.
We had said it in England. You're right.
Yeah. But
this works.
There's English exchange students, they're not going to go home for Christmas because that's too expensive. They're stuck in at like a Colorado or Montana or like somewhere there's fuck all to do. And then they get stuck in these dorms.
Well, I'm having a fever dream right now, Tristan. They discover some secret of American gold. There was like a cursed miner.
Yes,
a miner who cursed his gold, and they found the secret entrance to it.
Yes, and it's also played by Daniel Radcliffe, because it was Daniel Radcliffe's great grandfather who cursed the gold, and he is cursed to like by like family has to take care of this place because of it, and they think like there's like some sort of ghost or something.
And that's why he teams up with the girls, because he needs to make sure that they don't find it.
Oh, so he's misleading them the whole time. He's
misleading them. This movie is going to be so terrible, but it's going to be such a relic.
I'll say this.
Why did
it sounds like something Daniel would do.
Daniel would do this because we're like, our pitch when we go to Daniel is going to be like, Daniel, we have an idea, okay? It's Pineapple Express meets like Happy Death Day meets like Scooby-Doo.
It does kind of feel like a Scooby-Doo episode, doesn't it?
Meets National Treasure. It's like really
so good.
We're just really going for full camp.
I love it.
And trying to convince people.
You ever make a movie for the $5 bin at a Walmart?
This is what we do well.
Yeah.
Universal, Warner Brothers. Look.
somehow it's from Touchstone, despite that having been defunct for years.
Yeah. we dug Touchstone up from the ground to make our Scooby-Doo ass stoner comedy.
Oh, okay. We're getting so far afield here. But I like the cursed gold. I think putting it in like West Virginia would be great.
West Virginia is very
huge
good.
Mining, mostly coal, but huge mining country, state.
Mm-hmm.
And then it can also obviously end over the credits, or like opening credits. West Virginia, Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, blah 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 blah. That song. But I think it does turn into like a little bit of a thrill horror at the end. But then by the end of it, Daniel has to convince them that it was not real. But then then they leave the room, and then he has something from that night to show that it was real. And then finally the curse is lifted and he can like go home to his family.
He can go home. Oh my God. He's misleading them, not so that they don't find the treasure, but so that he can be freed of the curse.
Because he is actually the gold miner. He is an ancient entity. So there's that now switch where you
some Last Crusade.
Yeah. So it feels like, at the end it is like a sort of Scooby-Doo thing where you like rip off Old Man Jenkins, that kind of thing, where it's like a fake ghost. And then you find out, oh no, the ghost was real, just for a different reason.
Just for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
For a completely narratively unsatisfying reason. That's so little. We spent the entire movie misleading you.
Yeah. I mean, okay. People love a twist, don't they?
They do, I think so. So
what the twist?
We can walk it through. It's Christmas. And it's a total 3-hander. Wait, no, let's get David Lynch in a cameo as the janitor, as the maintenance man.
You can't run here. Yeah. I've just waxed
what are you
the floor.
Doing? Go home, losers.
Why are you here? It's Christmas time. The only reason I'm here is my family is dead. I live here. Don't tell anyone.
It's a 3-hander, except David Lynch shows up. And we'll get Guillermo del Toro to do like a fake wrap up at the end, that it was like a Cabinet of Curiosities episode where he's like closing the storybook as the last gag.
I like that. I would prefer, personally, Jonathan Frakes shows up and goes, "Oh, total fiction."
Total
and then
fiction.
It just cuts to black.
That's good. That's really good. Okay, so we'll walk it through. So Flo and Saoirse, they're college. No, they don't even share a dorm. They're not even like best friends. They're just the only 2 people left in the building. Mm-hmm. And Saoirse's kind of the burnout or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they just like, there's a shot where like she like pokes her head out from the door as like Flo's walking down the hallway and invites her in, and Flo's a little like, I don't know about this. Or maybe we flip it. Maybe let's let Flo be the stoner this time. Sure. So it's opposite. They walk in, they get a little too high. Then we have like total, we're gonna run around the dorm house.
Goofy.
Yeah. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, they go to like the kitchen at, what is it called? The dining hall, and they're like eating too much ice cream. They're sliding down the stairs on like a blanket, like they're kids again. That kind of thing. I think also Flo should be the burnout, and then Saoirse should be not like an A student, but someone who doesn't normally do this kind of thing. Just to add that tension, and like they're like, well, we're the only people here for a week and a half. We have to talk to each other. We have to get to know each other. Like, that sort of thing. And so there's like kind of that ice breaking at the beginning. But yeah, so they're doing all goofy hijinks.
They're doing goofy hijinks, and then is it like a secret door in the kitchens in the cafeteria? Is it in Daniel Radcliffe's office?
No, I think that it is. They open the fridge and the fridge door, it's like Narnia. They're like, now wait a minute.
Cafeteria.
Yeah, the cafeteria. They open and they go into a meat locker.
A meat locker.
And then it closes behind. They think they're gonna die, and then obviously they lean up against the wall or something, and then secret passageway.
And they discover the secret passageway. They swoop away the cobwebs or whatever. There's old mining equipment. It's super freaky. We do a descent fake out, and it turns out that it's not. There's no there's no monster in there, but it's instead Daniel Radcliffe, the superintendent, that these girls have never seen before. They don't. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're the superintendent, but they don't realize this because they're too high. They only realize it later the next day. I'm telegraphing another plot point. He's like, "Thank you, girls, for or they have to discover the gold first. I don't know."
I think they go down the mine shaft. I think they discover the gold. I think then they go, "Oh my God, what is this?" And then then Daniel Radcliffe appears and then tells them all about it. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh my God." And then tells them all about it. And then you really shouldn't be down here, something. And then over the course of it, for whatever reason, they don't trust him. And they try and take the gold. And over that misadventure, somehow it ends up being destroyed. It's really hard to destroy gold, is the thing.
It's hard to destroy gold.
Oh, what if Daniel Radcliffe, who we will never name characters on this podcast. We
just won't.
We just don't care to.
We've made the two worst movies of all time, and so I won't dignify them.
But anyhow,
this is what happens when the writers go on strike, everybody. This is what you get.
Oh, that's very good. I think Daniel convinces Flo and Saoirse to take the gold back up, because later on you realize he's a ghost. He can't pick it up himself. He's trapped. So he's like, yeah, you need to just get the gold out of here. And somehow they do that by pushing it out of a window. And I think the whole time David Lynch is like, "I'm just so poor." And then it lands in his the trunk of his car. And he's like, "God is good. God is real." And then he drives off.
It's the opposite.
Okay.
All of that is true. The gimmick is that it's a reverse Scooby-Doo. He needs somebody to take the gold.
Yeah.
That lifts the curse.
Yes.
His entire bloodline has died. And he needs somebody to take the gold. And so the movie is the antics and him constantly trying to redirect them to the gold.
But they won't take the gold.
Do it because they're too high and they're not convinced the gold is real.
Oh my God, that's so good. Oh,
we've done it.
We've solved it. Ugh. All right. Who do we get to direct this thing? Is it an Apatow joint?
No, I think it's a Nicholas Stoller joint, because I think you need a little heart in it too.
Who's that?
Stoller is Neighbors, is Forgetting Sarah Marshall, is more recently the Bros, which I have not seen.
I have not seen, and apparently no one else did either.
Unfortunately, yeah.
What can you do? I think we solved it. Do you have time to do a lightning round? Are you interested in that? I know you have a time constraint.
Let's do a lightning round. We can do it quick.
Yeah, it's lightning, baby. We got random word is look, Look. Look.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is about someone who is okay. So It's at a makeup testing laboratory, and something happens with the makeup that turns the animals alive. Like, well, not alive, sentient, I should say. The animals are definitely alive, sentient, and then they rebel against their owners and eat all of them. A bunch of rabbits get loose.
Incredible. Big Bunnicula energy. Mine is about a pair of magic like slinky eyeglasses. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That you put on, and like they help you see into the future, and somebody discovers their I don't know.
What is it, Hunter? What is it? Tell me.
Somebody sees their own death, and so they have to like spend the entire movie avoiding the death and not wearing but like wearing the glasses because they have to avoid. So everybody has to take them seriously, but also they have to avoid death.
Okay. I got Suffer. Suffer. Do you got one right up the dome, or should I go first?
I do. This is a horror movie. I keep going to horror directly. I think this is why everybody makes horror movies as their first feature.
They're very easy to like. Here's a weird idea.
Here's a weird idea. A son returns home from he's a film student, and he returns home for Thanksgiving dinner only to find out that his family's trying to kill him because he's the worthless one.
Okay.
It's called Thanksgiving Suffer.
I was wondering. I did have in my mind The Last Supper, but I don't think
The Last Supper.
I think mine is a German art house film that is about a baker that can't get the bread recipe to work. He can't make his bread rise anymore, and it's Suffer with sorry, he makes desserts and he can't get a souffle to rise, and it's Suffer with an umlaut.
Suffer. Yeah. Good.
All right. So we got one more, and it is, let's go with Related.
Okay, you go first.
Rom-com about in the South, and they realize that they are second cousins twice removed, and how do they interact with that? But by the end of it, they realize we're not blood related. We're still going to get married.
Awesome. That's what a twist. I think this is an Oscar play. It's a genealogy drama where somebody discovers that there's a piece of their family tree in another country, and they're like a history professor, and so they find out like, oh my god, I'm related to
Frankenstein.
I don't know. Frankenstein. Sure. Yeah.
Sorry, that's just young
Frankenstein. They're
sorry, I was being a dick.
They're fully related to somebody very upsetting, and that there's a family there's a family reunion for all the children of not genocidal fascist or something. Genghis Khan. It's all the children. It's Khan. It is Khan, where all the people with Genghis Khan's blood meet at.
That's so many people.
Meet.
I'm with you, but that's massive.
And we're doing like it is like an Oscar play comedy about the ways that people can come together through maybe the most upsetting detail about their genealogy.
I have one more for this,
Let's go.
And it's not great, but it is, I think, funny as a concept in the right hands of people. And this might be something I cut out. So Tristan, there you go. There's your marker to see you can cut it out. The idea of someone who realizes that they're half black after all this time. They present white, but they realize they're half black, and coming to grips with that, like maybe they're from like a racist household, and then they have to go, oh, it was internalized racism, that sort of thing, and like learn a lesson that way. But also obviously you're dealing with, like, again, I think in the right hands, like that, I feel like this is just a Key and Peele sketch is what I'm pitching.
Yeah, a little bit, but so, I like it.
So I don't know. I think Jordan Peele making a movie about someone who's discovering that they're actually black instead of white could be interesting. But again, not for me to make.
Not for you to make. No, not for you to
but
make.
But I will play the main role. No.
Yeah, but please allow me. Yeah, that's good. It is always a little upsetting when like somebody goes, I'm like part black, right? And you're like, that does not matter. That does not matter. I'm sorry. You're not allowed to claim that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can if you, I mean, it's really complicated,
Yeah, but it's terrible.
Anyhow, Hunter, now that we're at the end of the podcast, what do you want people to know about you besides you're really, really good at pitching bad movies?
I'm so good at pitching bad movies, and please don't let this deter you from liking me. Suddenly I'm begging for people's approval. You can follow me on basically anything at Wulff is the name. That's Wullff is the name. I used to Twitch stream. Maybe I will again soon. But Letterboxd, Instagram. I review lots of movies. I feel very passionate about movies, despite me being bad at pitching them. And
no, you're great at pitching them, but the pitches you come up with.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah. I'll look, if you want me to piggyback on your if you want me to pitch your movie for you, just Venmo me. But yeah, just I don't know, catch me on the socials. We'll see where my career goes from here.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I want to remind the listening audience that you can get early access to this podcast as well as like the video of it at tristanmiller.substack.com. I also do reviews. It's not just Hunter, but I do them there and not on Letterboxd until I release them to the public. Then I post them on Letterboxd. So you can,
way more professional about them. Way more.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'm trying to be professional in as much as I'm trying to get some of those dollars for it.
Sweet.
But other than that, I think they're kind of
professional.
I think they're cheeky reviews, but yeah, go there. I have a website as well, tristanjmiller.com. Anyway, thank you so much for doing this, Hunter. Great to see you again.
Great to see you.
Yeah, first returning champion.
That's crazy.
How does it feel?
It feels good. You've had so many incredible guests on the show. Feels cool to be back. Look, maybe we'll get to do it again sometime, and I'll try to bump up those concept muscles before I come back.
All good. I think we had a great time.
I think we did too. Thank you for having me on.